episode of the Planeswalkers Pub. I'm your host, Aaron.
And I'm Eric. Today we're going to be talking about the new cards from Commander 2019. But first, let's talk about our signature card.
Oh, right. So RJ actually has a day off, so I guess I'll just say our signature card?
Wait, why does he get a day off?
Because he doesn't have 1 million pounds of paperwork to fill out. Anyway, today's signature card is going to be Stronic Resonator. Stronic Resonator is a 2-mana artifact, and it says, pay 2 mana, tap it, copy target triggered ability you control, and you may choose new targets for the copy. Now, note that triggered ability is specifically whenever it says whenever, when, or if? No.
Yes. Enter the battlefield. Triggers are the most common example of this.
Oh yeah, because it says when Rex Sage enters the battlefield, just do this thing. Oh wow, that's spooky.
Yep.
It's really spooky. What's even spookier is the fact that the reason why we mention this is because Commander 2019 is slowly being spoiled. By the time you're actually watching this, it will have actually mostly all been spoiled, which is unfortunate. But hey, 'tis the creator's destiny. That's just how that works.
So we're gonna give you our hot takes on what's currently available.
As of recording, it is still Tuesday. We only know about the one deck that Command Zone actually spoiled.
And all the little crumbs of spoilers that various influencers have been given. And I noticed we haven't been given a card to spoil WotC. But I see what's going on here.
Consider the fact that we're only at roughly around like 40-ish subscribers, which by the way, guys, that is amazing. That is completely awesome. We're glancing at all the actual viewers. We love you guys. Hit that subscribe button since you're viewing our channel anyway. Just because we're going to be talking about Commander 19 for literally the end of time. Plus, hey, free drinks all the way around. That's how that works in the pub.
First round's free.
First round's on us. That's how that actually works. So today's topic is going to be talking about the new cards coming out in 2019. This is as of Tuesday. You guys actually know pretty much all of them, but this is our quick takes on what the cards are going to be, or even just how our thoughts of them are.
At least we have the face commanders to talk about, and that's the primary mechanics. Speaking of the mechanics...
So the mechanics are Morph, Flashback, Populate, Madness. The Morph mechanic basically states that you can take a creature, specifically one that has the ability of Morph on it, and place it face down for 3 generic mana, and then at any point in time, you can just pay its additional Morph cost and flip it face up. Morph does not use the stack, by the way, which means that you can technically do this at any point in time.
Morph is full of surprises. You never know when someone will get flipped up. 2 tertiary abilities to Morph are Megamorph, which functions exactly as Morph, except they're flipped with an additional +1/+1 counter, and Manifest.
Yes, which basically takes the top card of your library, or anyone's library, if it specifically states that, and actually place it face down as an actual 2/2 creature at that point. And if it is a creature, it can be turned up for its converted mana cost. Otherwise, just stays face down as a just standard 2/2 creature. So that cool tutor you just tutored for with that board wipe, guess what? Now it's a creature.
And if a morph creature is manifested, you can turn it up for its morph cost instead of its converted mana cost.
Which sometimes is actually really nice. The next mechanic is Flashback. That actually requires, it's basically more as like the spell slinger style of things, because you use a spell and then it would go to the graveyard. And then you can pay an additional cost. Typically the cost is more.
Yeah.
In order to then play it again from the graveyard. And then once it plays from the second time from the graveyard, it'll then be exiled. A lot of newer players will remember Jumpstart, which
from the newest Ravnica set,
which is
the exact same thing as Flashback, except you pay the spell's regular convert mana cost, and you discard a card, which presumably would be another Jumpstart card to have this chain of Jumpstart cards.
But Flashback is really, really cool just because the spell that you use beforehand, you always still have access to it. So kind of as a weird Muldrotha effect where you have access to your graveyard a little bit more than other people's typically would.
I believe Flashback is at any time, even sorceries with Flashback, or does it follow the traditional rules of spellcast?
I would believe it would still follow the traditional rules of spellcaster, because I mean, most Flashback stuff has like, board wipes or something like that. Sense like you don't want to, or it's the black spell. It's on the screen right now, where it just like creates 13 zombies. Then you can flash it back and create another 13 zombies. You don't want to have that instant speed.
Yeah, and there is that board wipe, the white board wipe with Flashback. Yeah, So I guess it is at the standard speed of which you could cast the spell.
The third mechanic is populate.
Yep. It creates an additional token of one that's already out. Which I believe if you have 4 and you get a populate trigger, it makes 4 more. So you end with a total of 8?
No. So let's say that I've got... Because populate is typically special with token decks. For starters, populate, you can only populate your own creatures or your own tokens. You can't turn and populate someone else's, unlike proliferate. And as well as with populate, the legend rule does still apply. So Mowu token, you actually can't do it.
R.I.P. good pupper.
Populate, if you're choosing one token, so let's say you have 4 soldier tokens on the field, you're choosing one of them and then creating an additional one from that. So you only you're only ever getting one.
Oh man, that makes populate a lot worse than I thought it was.
But here's the thing.
I mean, it's still good if you build the deck around it, which
exactly.
presumably the precon is built around it.
But think about it this way. So you've got, because you actually own Wormcoil Engine, so you would know this. So you've got Wormcoil Engine, it dies.
Yes.
You create a token with lifelink, token with Death Touch.
Yes.
You use Populate, you now have 2 tokens with Death Touch.
This is true.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you're populating, you're typically choosing the biggest and baddest thing that you currently have, and it's making it better. Because 2 of something is usually better than 1.
Yeah.
Most of the time, depending on how you look at it.
Is populate just creature tokens?
Yes.
Okay.
So
no
creatures.
more can't populate that treasure token.
Can't populate treasures, can't populate clues, you can't populate other artifacts that create it. It's only creatures, which is very, very important. The last mechanic is probably my personal favorite. It's madness.
And it's also the worst mechanic.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a bit. Anyway, so Madness actually states that when a card is discarded from your hand, you can pay its Madness cost. Typically, the Madness cost is going to be less than the regular converted mana cost. Similar to Morphs a little bit, Madness does not require an actual timing restriction. So where Flashback, you actually have to choose, okay, well, this is a sorcery, I can only cast a sorcery speed. With Madness, whenever you discard that card, if it's a creature or you discard on your opponent's turn, you can now cast it.
Or sorcery. So it's a pseudo flash.
Which is kind of nice. The only downside is, as of right now, this recording, there aren't that many great cards to toss to Madness. Most of them are not the greatest.
According to Scryfall, there are 38 cards with Madness, and roughly about half of them are
actually
playable.
But we have a new commander, which is going to be amazing, and she will help out considerably with this
She's exactly what they needed. She is Angie Falconwrath. The Innistrad vampires are back. We just can't seem to get away from them, can we?
Vampires.
1, a black and a red, so Rakdos. Legendary creature vampire, haste. You can tap her to draw a card, to discard a card and draw a card, so looting. And whenever you discard a card that has madness, she's untapped. And she's a 1/3.
Now the 1/3 doesn't necessarily matter, but it kind of does, because this way she can actually block something, or she doesn't just die.
She got a decent butt.
Yeah, she doesn't just die to just anything. Like, you can't just toss it, they lose for 1 or 2 with my Amara deck, for instance, and just kill everything. One thing about her, which is really, really great, is the fact that A, she has haste. You can use her right immediately, right as she shows up. 2, she's only a 3-drop, so she's coming out very quickly. And more importantly, whenever you discard a card, if that card has madness, you untap her.
Yep.
So you can.
So it's literally everything madness needed to function.
Madness relied a lot on just wheel effects, to actually discard your entire hand and then boom, you can use it, or other.
Or to do stupid janky stuff like mind rot yourself or whatever.
There were some creatures that actually would have this discard a card, do this weird thing that you never actually reused because that was your only option.
Well, you can play some of those, some of the cards I used to play in my Gitrog deck, Putrid Imp.
just because you had to. But the cool thing is, with her, she comes out in turn 3, you tap her, discard the card with madness, and then you draw a card. Because you actually discarded her, or because you actually discarded the card, you can now cast that card, if it's a creature or something in that sense, untap her, and then you can then tap her again immediately. I can definitely see a chain on this where, not so much like a reverse birthing pod, but similar.
It's exactly where it's how you think, because there's a vampire that gives all your creature cards madness. So you can loot your way through your deck by discarding all the creature cards.
Yeah, and just digging for whatever you want. Early game, probably not doing that, but late game I could definitely see a possibility of just, my turn, I've got 20 mana or something in that sense. Tap her, discard, cast this, untap, tap her, discard, cast this, and then just double triggering that up several times over, just throwing out your entire hand. Also too, I do want to mention, which is very, very important, Windfall. or a wheel effect, something in that sense. If those cards in your hand have madness, you can cast each individual one separately.
It's a separate madness
It's
trigger.
a separate madness trigger, which is very, very important. So if you're versing this deck, get ready to not have your hand, because...
Yeah. I mean, they couldn't play Windfall because that's a blue card, but,
True,
you know,
but... I mean,
all the red wheel effects.
most wheels are in red anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Magus, the classic, Kavas, Fury. There's a lot of decent wheel effects.
Yeah, I like it.
Even if you can't afford the $60 or more regular wheel effects.
I'm really, really excited about this particular commanders because I'm not really a Rakdos player in general, but I do like playing me some black. I do like me some vampires, so why not? The next actual guy, since we're going in reverse order, I guess, is let's talk about the Populate commander.
Oh, man, I'm not a fan.
So it is Gerard Conclave Exile?
Yep.
Sure, why not?
Exile from Selesnya for using dirty, filthy red mana.
I can see that. So it is 2 red, green, white for a legendary creature, human shaman. He is a 2/5. And it says, whenever Gerard enters the battlefield, create a 4/4 green rhino creature token with trample. More importantly, whenever Gerard attacks, populate. The token enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. So here's how this is going to work. You play him out.
You get the rhino.
You give him some speedy boots. You then swing with him. You then get a second rhino that's swinging with him as well. You now have 6 power.
Yeah, coming at you.
6 power with trample, mind you. Plus, he's also big too. He's a 2/5.
But the 2/5 for 5 is less good than I'd have hoped. He's in green, so you can ramp to him, but I think the CMC and the stats and the overall effect makes him lackluster. That's just my opinion, though.
I feel like you're just angry because you can't populate all your guys.
Yeah, I am a little bitter about that. And if you have one good token, yeah, this is kind of a weird strategy. Most of the time you want to make 1,000,000 tokens, but if populating only makes 1 token, you only want to clone the best token.
Well,
but if you have a bunch of 1/1s, like, who cares about an additional 1/1?
Well, one thing to note is that he is in Anointed Procession colors. He is in Doubling Season colors. He is in Parallel Lives colors.
That's true.
Populate creates a token. Anointed Procession specifically states whenever a token would be created, create 2. So this, when you're attacking with him, will create a second rhino or the second token, wherever you feel like. It's not creating 2, and both of them are tapped and attacking. That's good.
That's very good, yeah. And I think this triggers with Stonewind Resonator.
Yes.
It says whenever.
This does trigger with this, so basically you go to swing with him, in response to his trigger, activate the Resonator, boom, you're now getting multiple triggers with this. It's going to get broken very, 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 very quickly.
Yes. Opinion revised. He's pretty good.
If you set him up.
Yeah.
That's the point. And that's kind of and the downside with him is that he's a token-based strategy. One board wipe, and you're going back to square one.
Or Elesh Norn.
Yeah.
Our favorite Praetor.
Well, here's the thing. Elesh Norn doesn't matter against him. He creates 4/4s. Crazy, crazy.
The next one we have is Savine the Chronoclasm. 2, a blue, a red, and a white. Legendary creature, human wizard. Prevent all damage that be dealt to her. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell from your graveyard each turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. She is a 2/2.
A couple of things to note here. Number 1, it's a 2/2.
Yeah.
Which is very low for 5 mana. Number 2, it does say prevent all damage that will be dealt to them.
Yes, so that includes direct damage, so just laughs at red cards.
Yeah, so lightning bolts can go somewhere, blasphemous acts, what is it, Star of Extinction or whatever, those can all just...
Common Storm.
Those don't matter. That's really interesting. I kind of feel... The problem is that this is...
She's the ultimate chump blocker. This also completely negates Death Touch, First Strike, Double Strike. Because she just takes them all on the chin and feels nothing.
Prevents all damage. So then, So here's a question then, because this is technically the flashback commander. Do you think this is eventually going to devolve into a Voltron commander?
I don't know.
Well, think about Feather. Because Feather has a lot of, cool, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. Granted, Feather
She doesn't support really attacking.
Well, Feather doesn't? Or this one?
This one doesn't.
Well, no, but I feel like you can just pump it or something. There's a lot of red pump cards.
You've got a Voltron fetish, Aaron.
Yes, I do.
You gotta tone it down. Not every commander can be Voltron. There's one we're gonna talk about, so wait till that one. But this one, no. This is Spellslinger through and through. The prevention of red is presumably so you can flash back all the red spells and keep your commander alive.
I don't know, it's weird that it just says prevent all damage, but we also...
Yeah, that is kind of a weird effect.
That's what I'm saying, like,
flashback
it's
commander.
Flashback. But then again, this is also Tuesday. We haven't actually seen the review
deck.
of
So there could be a whole host of red cards that just make her the bee's knees.
They could have reprinted Blasphemous Act. They could have reprinted Star of Extinction.
Yeah.
That would actually matter, which is kind of nice. The last commander we actually talk about, which is actually the first mechanic, is going to be Kadena Slinking Sorcerer. Kadena Slinking Sorcerer.
She's a Naga wizard, so...
You have to say it like that.
You gotta say it like that.
She is one black...
Sorcerer.
She is 1 black, green, blue for a 3/3 Naga wizard, and it says the first face-down creature spell you cast each turn costs 3 less to cast. We're going to talk about that in a second, I promise. But it says additional text which says whenever a face-down creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. So, we mentioned this before. In order to morph something down face down, A, has to be a creature with morph, and B, it costs 3 generic to morph it face down. With her in the field, your first one is free.
Yep. And if you have Vidalcan Ori or Leyline of Anticipation out, you can flash in a morph creature for free each turn.
Because it says
each turn, not
each turn,
your
not
turn.
Your turn, which means your turn, RJ's turn, Eric's turn, Katie's turn, my turn. You're flashing in just a bunch of morphs.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And you're drawing a card for each one.
I'm going to skip just ahead, just a tiny bit. We do know, as of right now, that Seaboard Muse has been spoiled, as well as Seaboard Muse is in this deck.
Yes.
Which means danger.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Warning.
I mean, this and Angie are the 2 best for their respective mechanics.
Yes.
Morph and Madness didn't have really commanders for them.
Well, Morph had... Well, they didn't have it, but they had Animar.
They had Animar.
People were using Animar because whenever you cast a creature with Animar, you get a ++ counter on them. And then creature spells you cast cause generic colorless less for each ++ counter on them. So once you get Animar up to 3, you can basically just play Morphs for free.
Yep.
But with her, you're drawing a stupid amount of cards.
You really are.
Like, a stupid amount of cards.
The flashback and the popular commander, those effects have been around for a long time now, so they bolster the mechanic, but they don't bring anything new like the Morph and Madness ones did.
I kind of like the popular one just because it gives you something to populate.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of...
I like it too.
Most token decks, you kind of have to either you gotta create something, you gotta make a small little loop, or, you gotta jump through some hoops. With the commander here, he just shows up, hey, here's a guy. Like, you want to populate this guy. And I'm not really crazy about the flashback guy, but I'm not really crazy about flashback in general because...
I think Cass is just a better flashback commander than this one. But again, the deck hasn't been spoiled, so we could be wrong.
Yeah, that's very true. Before we get into the other ones, I just want to mention, I feel like Morph deck is going to be the strongest.
Yeah.
But the Madness deck is going to be the most interesting to play. Just because...
Madness is the hardest mechanic?
Yeah. It's going to be kind of hard to see how that works. I'm interested because I like Rakdos in general, just because destroy stuff, blow stuff up. Plus, I like drawing cards. I like drawing all the cards. All the cards. Just all the cards. One thing we do also want to mention is the fact that each commander that was spoiled also got their own individual card attached with it.
Much like our show, they have their own signature spell, which I believe is a first for commander.
But last year, Amanatu had Amanatu's Augury.
Saheeli had Saheeli's... a couple Saheeli spells, actually.
Well, Saheeli's also been around for fucking ever. Estrid had Estrid's Unification, the enchantment that
so second time they've given them a signature spell.
But I kind of like the fact that they have a signature spell because it's a flavor win.
It is a flavor win.
Yay, the flavor wins. On Angie's, who we're just going to shorten this Ange, I know people are just going to do it, so, has her signature spell, I guess. It's going to be Angie's Ravager, which is 2 in red for a 3/3 Vampire Berserker. Archer's going to be happy because it's Berserker. And it says it has to attack each combat if able. Note, it doesn't have haste, so it won't attack the turn it comes out. And then it says, whenever it attacks, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards.
And has a madness cost of 1 and a red.
Which is very, very nice.
This is perfect for red cards, red decks that run out of steam.
Yeah, because it says discard your hand. It doesn't say and draw up to 3. It just says to draw 3, which means if you've got no cards in hand, you're discarding nothing and drawing 3 cards for just attacking. It's a 3/3.
Really good.
So it'll usually last just fine.
3/3 for 3, so right on target.
Or even better, 3/3 for 2 because you flash it at the end of your opponent's turn because you used her at the end of turn to discard this guy, and then boom, now it's attacking.
Yep.
Toss those those cards in your hand, which you're then casting. I'm really like this deck.
Yeah.
Nothing's been spoiled for this deck.
Obviously, you get all the madness triggers.
Nothing's been spoiled for this deck, and I'm already super excited because it just seems like it's fun. That's my point. Where it might not be the strongest deck, it might be the most jankiest, but it just seems like the most fun because there's so many things you have to do to set everything up. It's just like I could win, I could just completely screw myself.
Both Ange and her Ravager here set the conditions for the deck to succeed. So yeah, that's always good. Girage Belligerence. X and 2 red. Sorcery. It deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Whenever creature dealt damage this way dies this turn, populates. So, Brutaclad wants to know your location.
Yes! It's one of those things that deals X damage as you choose, which is always scary in general.
Mm-hmm.
What's even better, it says populate for each creature. So if you kill like 5 tokens, you're populating 5 times.
Yes, you are.
Now, this is the card I feel like you can get behind just because you're getting a bunch of your guys. Like, so that one rhino, you're now pumping this, and you're not getting like 12 rhinos. Downside, it's a sorcery. Plus, he's actually not in flash colors, but, Vidalcan Orrery is still available because it's colorless source. You flash this in at the end of someone's turn, ping a bunch of stuff, you get a bunch of rhinos, you're going nuclear.
Yeah, this is kind of funny how it seems like an anti-token deck. Played by the guy who's a token deck.
Yeah, I mean it's the same principle. I mean, like I run.
He plays beefy tokens though. He's there to stomp down those white weenies because the creature has to die for you to get the populate trigger. So if there's a 5/5 and you got to sink 7 mana into this because you have to pay the initial 2 red and 5 on that just to populate once, that's bad value, my friend.
I do also want to mention the fact that it just says. Whenever you can target any target, you can technically target your own stuff. So let's say you have yourself like a bunch of 1/1s or whatever because, I don't know, you populate a bunch of 1/1s because you know this is in your hand. You can then use
kill them all,
turn them on into 4/4s.
Yeah.
That seems really, really cool.
That might have actually been the intention. Our next one is Servine's Reclamation. 2 and a white, 4 sorcery. Return target permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, Sun Titan. If this spell is cast from your graveyard, you may copy that spell, and you may choose a new target for your copy. So, if you have Savine out, cast this, you get 3 triggers of it, because you get Savine's trigger of, if it's the first instant or sorcery spell from your graveyard each turn, copy it, and you have its own copy effect, because if it's cast from the graveyard.
Yeah. So you basically get 3 Sun Titan triggers for free. Well, not for free, but you get 3 Sun Titan triggers right away, which is kind of nice. I do also want to mention, which is something I didn't actually consider, it says converted mana cost 3 or less. You can technically grab lands with this, because lands officially are 0 converted mana cost.
However, I gotta say, this is an odd effect for flashback. They want to sling spells, not permanents. So, what permanents are you grabbing back?
I feel like additional blockers, maybe some key pieces that you need, like maybe there's a enchantment that says like flashback costs X less or something.
Yeah. Well, it does say 3 or less, so you can grab Ghostly Prison or Propaganda, both of which are in these colors. So.
Oh yeah.
But that seems like a very odd choice, and it's permanents and not instants or sorceries.
I am really curious. I'm still just confused of why he doesn't take any damage. I'm really confused about that. Like, there's got to be a bunch of wraths.
There has to be a damage sub-theme in this deck.
There has to be something. I mean, he's running red, so there's got to be something. The last one is Kadena's Silencer, which is 1 in a blue for a 2/1 Naga wizard creature. And it says, whenever it is turned face up, counter all abilities your opponents control.
Its Megamorph is also 1 in a blue.
So, it also knows a morph, typically for free. Because of her. You pay 1 in blue at any point, it just counters all abilities your opponents control. So, I go to tap Imara. Nope, it's countered. I go to double death triggers with Tesa. Nope, it's countered. Note, this also works for Planeswalkers. You activate your Planeswalker ability. Nope, it's countered.
Yeah.
Note, by the way, that when you're countering an ability, the card that you're countering, if it's a permanent, like Planeswalker or creature or something in that sense, it doesn't actually go to the graveyard. That's very important because I thought, because normally when you're countering something like, counterspell or whatever, it goes to the graveyard afterwards. With countering an ability, the ability just says, this does nothing this turn, basically, and then the card stays on the field.
Which is
Very, very good. And I also want to
and
mention...
it's opponent's control.
Yeah, so you can counter a bunch. You can base... It's basically like...
There's a spell slinging war going on between your opponents. You just sit there and you're like, so is everyone done? All right. Kadena Silencer.
Yeah.
None of what you just did happens.
Yeah, so all their counter spells, all of it just goes bye-bye. Also, too, this can counter Emrakul, because it's an ability that Emrakul uses. Even if it's on the cast, it's still an ability that Emrakul uses, which is kind of stupid and amazing.
And this is really hard to interact with because Morph doesn't interact with the stack. But I think when she flips face up, that ability does go on the stack.
You can also counter Annihilator. That's second ability.
Man.
Yeah, no, she's dangerous. She's very, very dangerous. Plus, she's only 2. She drops for 2. Like, that's just dumb.
Nice. So all the lieutenant cards is what I'll call them, even though they're not officially lieutenants, are really good for the respective decks they're in.
Yeah. The next actual cards or section we're going to go into is just the legendary creatures that we know about as of this second. A quick hot takes on basically what they are, what they do, stuff of that sense. Let's talk about the kid first.
Crick, son of Yawgmoth. 4 and 3 Phyrexian mana. Legendary creature, horror minion. He has lifelink. For each black in a cost, you may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. And whenever you cast a black spell, put a 1/1 counter on Crick, son of Yawgmoth. And he starts as a 2/2. This card is what made me so hyped for Commander 2019.
So before you get into your whole thing, let me explain a couple of things first. Number 1, Phyrexian mana basically states that it usually has a color associated with it. So this one particularly has 3 black Phyrexian mana. So you can play either a single swamp or 2 life, which is very, very important because paying life to do anything is cheating, and it's kind of awesome. What he basically does is he turns all of your black spells into Phyrexian spells. That is beyond dangerous.
Especially since he gets bigger with each spellcast and he has lifelink.
Yes. Wait, what? Oh god, yes, he does. Oh no. Oh no. I didn't read that last part. I just saw the black thing. I kind of just like went unconscious.
Glazed over.
Glazed.
He is amazing.
Mono Black Voltron?
Mono Black Voltron.
But then
you can do so much dirty stuff with this. Bolus's Citadel.
Necropotence. Why would you say that? You gotta do...
Haunt of Hightower.
You gotta do... Well, here's the thing.
There's so many.
This has to be...
that demon the one from 2020.
Oh yeah, the one that whenever you lose life, you draw
cards. Whenever you pay Phyrexian mana, you draw cards.
So you guys can't see it, but he's just got the biggest smile on his face. You have to have a sub-theme, a main theme of this, of life gain. Because paying 2 life, it might not seem like a lot because we're at 40, but you do that, 10, 12 times, you're down to like 30 life very, very quickly.
A lot less than that.
Yeah, and what's even better, which is kind of nice with him, is the fact that, yes, he does have lifelink, which is very, very nice because he'll slowly get bigger, and there you go. Whenever they're tapped out in this particular... If you're reversing this deck, whenever they're tapped out... They're not tapped out.
Yes. And another trigger that Stoanic Resonator can work with. More +1 counters. Make him bigger faster.
I feel like this is also going to be one of those Blitz-style decks, where if you don't kill somebody by the time turn 10 rolls around, you're just dead. Yeah. Because you're spending too much mana.
There are some black spells that gain you life, but not enough. This definitely has more of a home in an Orzhov deck than piloting his own deck. And of course there's Daddy Yawgmoth that would also appreciate him.
Oh yeah, my father like son.
For each black in a cost. So it's not only the converted mana cost, it's also for activated abilities.
Ew, that's gross. That's super gross. I don't want to talk about it. Alright, switching from mono black to something that's a little bit more manageable, of Boros. Let's go to Gerard, Weatherlight Hero. He is a 2 red and a white for a 3/3 human soldier. He has first strike. And it says, whenever Gerard dies, exile it and return to the battlefield all artifacts and creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn.
There's some janky stuff you can do with this because
I don't know, though.
The exile effect is not a replacement effect, so you can mess with the triggers with it.
Yeah, but so when he dies, he technically has to go to the graveyard in order to class. If you're running him as a commander, when he dies, he technically has to go to the graveyard in order for it to classify as him dying. And then at that point, he then exiles out. And then once he exiles out, then you can put him back to the command zone. The thing is, it says artifacts and creatures that put into your graveyard this turn. That's my point that I'm getting hooked up on. It doesn't just say like, grab whatever you want. It's just so you're running what? Just like a bunch of rafts and board wipes? Then you gotta figure out how to sack him then.
Goblin Bombardment. And there's a loop with him, Goblin Bombardment, and Lord Retainers. Lord Retainers is 2 and a white, human advisor. Sack it, return target legendary creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only during your turn before attackers are declared. With Gerard, him, and Goblin Bombardment out, you can loop them because Gerard's exile effect is not a replacement effect. So with some weird shenanigans with the stack, you can basically go infinite.
I guess, but that's either 1-2 times and you're just done with it. That's my point. Where it's like it's a nice cutesy little 3-card combo, but it's like, I mean, think about Prosh, for instance. Prosh has like, he can do the same infinite combo shenanigans, but he needs to have a setup. He needs to set up, like, start up and everything. That's to kind of build up his army. With this, it's a 3-card combo, which is cool. You do that maybe once, twice in a game, then you're just like, okay, I'm going to dismantle this deck because there's no point.
Maybe.
It just seems like it's a 1-2 punch and then you're just done fighting because there's no point.
I thought I'd point it out since it was a combo people were talking about.
No. It's good. I dig it, but I don't know if people are going to stick with it. It's no problem. It's the same principle like Painter Servant, where we were kind of freaking out a little bit about that. But once again, once you do it once or twice, you're just like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't need to do it anymore.
Yeah, but there are, how about Clark Clank Ironworks? Sack your artifacts.
I think if you're going to run Clark Clank Ironworks anyway, just run a standard Clark Clank Ironworks combo. Why are you using him as the middleman? He's kind of like a backup plan. That's my point. He doesn't really seem like a general. He seems like a backup plan type deal. Where it's like, okay, well, my Clark Clank Ironworks, I'm doing my own combo and everything in that sense. Oh no, like, I can't get it back because X, Y, or Z. I'm going to use him as my backup plan. He doesn't really seem like the type to hold his own. Our next card is Ryami, First of the Fallen. 1 black, green, blue. A legendary vampire is a 5/4. It says, if a non-token creature would die, exile that creature with a blood counter on it instead. As long as an exiled creature card with a blood counter on it has flying, Ramos has flying, and the same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. So this card is dope.
This card is that Voltron commander we needed to talk about.
Now here's my point. 2 things. 1, I understand why, but I'm angry they didn't call him Lucifer.
Yes.
I know why they didn't, but...
Also, more vampires. Thanks, Wizards.
You can't make a fallen anyone else but a vampire. I mean,
I guess make him a demon.
We've got enough demons.
No, we don't. I love demons. We don't have it. We need more demons.
Demons? Hashtag give us more demons. But yeah, this guy is dope because one thing about Voltron that you either have one or the other. You have a enchantment-based Voltron deck, hence Bruna, or you have a artifact Voltron deck, hence SRAM or something in that sense.
And then you have the new contender, Spellslinger Voltron,
which is Feather, which is very, very cool. Now you have...
Kill creatures to get the Voltron.
It's not even that. It's just whenever a creature, non-token creature dies, that doesn't have to be your own stuff. It can be your opponent's stuff as well. You're in black, which means you can get the best abilities of just single target. I need to get that in the world.
Grave Pact, anyone?
You've not even just Grave Pact. You've also got Leyline of the Black, Leyline of the Void, where everything gets exiled. And then once it gets exiled, well, technically.
Wait, no.
Yeah,
the
actual
one
work. That one because it has to hit the graveyard first, then it exiles. Okay, but the point is, you're in green, so ramp is fine. You're in blue to counter whatever that you don't want to grab, or if this guy's amazing.
He's very amazing.
This guy's super cool.
He hoses graveyard strategies.
Not even that. It's just super cool because it's finally. That's the reason why
you're stealing keywords from other creatures.
And the cool thing is, they're in exile, so it's not like your opponent can be like, okay, well, I'm going to recast this way you don't have it. There's nothing they can do about it. They can't touch it. It's great. It's amazing. What's great about this is, you guys know me, the fact that I've got my Shrine deck, which is awesome. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't you run Bruna? Or why don't you run, like, the...
Sigarda
or something like that. In my opinion of that is, they cheat. Because they have 3 of the abilities already. Like Sigarda, for instance, she's got Flying, which is evasion, Hexproof, and she can't be sacrificed. That's 3 abilities right there that you already have from the gate. I don't like that. I like to earn what I'm doing. Like, if I'm going to punch you in the face with, like, this giant Voltron creature, I want to have the best time doing it.
You want to build it yourself.
I want to build it myself. Give me the pieces and I'll build it myself. Don't have it already half built for me. That's cheating. With him, you're building it yourself, but you also have to rely on creatures to do it. Yes, you can obviously put in like you can put like double strike and stuff like that. So you can put those stuff onto him. But I'm gonna build this, and it's gonna be great because I'm not gonna use any equipment at all. Well, lightning greaves because
you need pump equipments.
Yes, technically.
Because even if he has all these keywords,
if he's got protection,
he's still a 5/4.
If he's got protection, you can't block it. This is gonna be.
But then he gets protection from whatever the exiled creature had protection from. So if you exile some of the protection from red, he would only have protection from red.
Yeah, I guess. But also, it's just, oh my god, I'm so excited about this just because Voltron's something I love in general. It's a new twist on Voltron that I just can't wait to just jump into.
The Sultai legends are so good. Like the next one, Vollrath the Shape Stealer. 2 and black, green, blue. Legendary creature shapeshifter for 7/5. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature. And you pay 1. Until your next turn, it becomes a copy of target creature with a counter on it, except it's a 7/5 and has this ability.
So, it's basically Lazav, but with green.
It's way better than Lazav.
It is way better than Lazav, but here's the thing. With Lazav, there's 2 Lazavs, both of them are on screen. One of them states whenever a creature goes to the graveyard, Lazav becomes a copy of it if you feel like. The other one states that you can turn Lazav into that creature for just paying X mana. This, you have to, I don't know.
Put a -1 counter on something.
Well, let's
make a copy of it. And it's any counters. So if your opponents have
so if there's plus one
counters,
counters, that works. You can put your own +1/+1 counter because there's a lot of stuff that gives stuff. It's in green, so you've got a lot of stuff just like, hey, here's a +1/+1 counter. Why not? I don't know.
The only problem is it's permanently 7/5. So if you're trying to copy something that's bigger than him, and you want the power toughness, so don't care about the ability,
which is why
he's less good.
But that's the thing.
Still.
Like, you're just getting static abilities with this because he's already on the field, so you're not getting any into the battlefield effects. You don't get those, and I guess you're just getting static abilities.
Yeah.
Like flying
or active abilities.
Yeah.
They'd have to be active abilities in your colors in order to use them. I still like him. I think he's worth a build around.
I would rather have Lazav just because my pick of the litter of the graveyard is usually going to be better than what's currently on the field anyway. Plus, I've got to go through the secondary hoop of putting a -1 counter on it or a +1/+1 counter on it, and people don't like you touching their stuff.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. With Lazav, he can target stuff from either your graveyard or your opponent's graveyard or something in that sense, where you don't know what he's going to do at any point in time. With this, you're putting a -1 counter on something that's blatantly telling someone, hey, I may or may not want, I'm interested in that. Is this in Hapatra's colors?
Yeah, but Hapatra's a legend, so. Oh, but it still makes the snakes.
That's my point. So you can technically have like a secret commander type deal where it's like Hapatra is basically your main deck. You're just using him as a general. Because I mean, you got the -1 counters.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to connect like Hapatra does.
Yeah, that's my point.
You could probably build the entire Hapatra deck with blue in addition to that.
That's what I'm saying. So
that's some jank.
Yeah, it's some jank, but it's one of those things where, like, because basically you're playing hitting commander at that point. You're basically playing Hapatra as like your hitting commander because you're already making -1 counters anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know, he's decent. I'm not a fan. The last legend that I actually see as of right now Tuesday, we haven't actually reloaded the page or anything.
Yes.
It's
the wall.
Go ahead.
Pramicon, Sky Ramparts. Blue, red, white. For 1/5. Flying Defender. He's a wall. It's our first wall legend.
Yes.
Yes. As he enters the battlefield, choose left or right. Each player may only attack only the nearest opponent in the chosen direction and planeswalkers controlled by that opponent. This is the group slug commander I've been waiting for.
Are you serious?
Forget Fantas. This guy is exactly the sort of jank I love. Because I love the idea of getting your opponents to fight other people. And whenever I tried to build a deck that did that, people didn't like that and they just attacked me to get my effects off the board.
Oh, which reminds me.
But this literally forces you to do it, and I love it so much.
One thing about this effect, if you're looking and saying that list seems very familiar, you would be completely right. So there is actually a card that's called Mystic Barrier. It is 4 and a white for an enchantment, and it says when Mystic Barrier enters the battlefield or at the beginning of your upkeep, choose left or right. And then each player may attack only the opponent seated nearest to them in the chosen direction. So basically, what he does is when he comes down, he basically says, hey, attack the person to your left. So Eric can only attack me, I can only attack RJ, and it kind of goes around like that. Eric or RJ cannot attack me, I cannot attack Eric. That's just how that works. We're just pointing a direction. This is a one-way street now. With Mystic Barrier, you can change which direction that street's pointing depending on who's more threatening or who's less threatening, basically.
Yeah.
Make
the Spellslinger deck only attack you.
Now, note, by the way, it doesn't say they have to attack, which is very important because this way you can choose not to, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. But in red, there are plenty of effects that force combat. So, probably tricking out this deck to...
Shoutouts to Goad.
Goad, yeah.
Goad is a very, very cool mechanic.
Or Grand Melee, which is an enchantment that says all creatures must attack each combat, or all creatures must block each combat.
I like him just because he's a wall. That's a legend, which is great. I hate it because he's not in Arcadius' colors, so I can't put him on that deck.
Sad.
I mean, it's a 1/5.
But you can make your own Jeskai walls with this guy.
Yeah, but they can't attack. You're just defending, which is nice. But I guess you just get a bunch of mana and then you can fireball towards the win, I guess. I don't know. He's decent.
You could do something fun with this.
He's decent. I like it. I love this effect. The reason why I know about this effect is because I actually just ordered the barrier. It's a cool card. It's a very, very cool card because it basically... You will not believe how many times this barrier can potentially save your life because you're like, okay, well, that person just summoned Emrakul. Also, too, the person diagonal across from you, they legally cannot attack you ever.
2 people can't attack you. When you set this up, you're setting up so only 1 person can attack you at any time.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you first shows up, so you kind of have to be, I don't know, typically you want to cast your command as quickly as possible. With him, I feel like you want to wait a couple of minutes, just because, yes, he can come down on turn 3. However, you don't really know what each deck wants to do. Unless you've versed him before, you don't really know what each deck wants to do. Who's going to be swinging the biggest, the scariest creatures. You might think in your head, okay, well, I'll make it this way the token person can't attack me, but then you've got, the Voltron player attacking you. Half a dozen in one, 6 in the other. So you have to kind of be careful. Plus, you also have to think about how you're physically sitting down. Most people don't consider it. They're like, oh, hey, let's start a game.
Yeah.
Cool. We just sit down wherever we want to sit down.
Which is why
you have to think about it.
Which is why directional effects like this can get wonky. So and I did not expect you to bring up that obscure white card. I thought you were going to bring up Aminatu for having the left-right mechanics.
I mean, she's got the left-right, but she's got the...
Chaos
borrowing all.
mechanics.
Yeah, she's got the chaos style mechanic.
Yeah. Well, this is Chaos Light. I mean, it does have the randomness of left or right, and the...
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. It's very, very cool. I probably won't be building it, but it's very cool. I would enjoy fighting against this, not really piloting it myself. Since we're talking about Legends and we are the Planeswalkers pub, it's only fitting that we talk about the Planeswalkers, the ones that we know about anyway.
I believe this is new to this one. Each one's getting a Planeswalker.
Yeah, which I didn't see coming. I feel like a lot of people didn't see coming.
I don't even remember this announcement until
they showed
up in the spoilers. Okay.
I mean, it makes sense. They probably have a bunch of Planeswalkers from War of the Sparks just lying around. So Ral Zarek is 2 and blue and a red for a legendary Planeswalker, Ral Zarek. He starts off with 4 loyalty. It says +1, tap target permanent. That permanent. Then untap another target permanent. Note that you don't have to tap the same permanent. You can tap your opponent's and then untap one of yours, or vice versa.
Which is probably the
optimum play.
Yeah.
-2, Ral Zarek deals 3 damage to any targets. So to the face, to a creature, to whatever, another Planeswalker. And then -7, flip 5 coins. Take an extra turn after this one for each coin that comes up heads.
He's not good.
I don't know, man. Flipping 5 coins.
I know, but he's never gonna live that long. Unless you're doing Super Friends. But
remember, he is.
You can't do Super Friends in either Traxa or Aminatu, which are the 2 most popular commanders to do it.
Traxa doesn't have red.
Neither Traxa nor Aminatu have red.
I don't know. I mean, he's an Izzet, so, you got a bunch of spells.
You might be able to protect him with your counter spells. But his first 2 abilities are incredibly underwhelming. And his +1 ability, 3 turns. I mean, if you cast him and then Deep Glow Skate him into 8, then that's when we're talking.
Yeah, but not even Deep Glow Skate, because tapping and untapping something or whatever, you can just tap down their big creature and untap your mana rock that you use to cast it.
That's true.
You've got
And this is presumably going in the flashback deck, and this has no part in it, I don't think. I think this would be, when you're tuning that deck, this would be a cut.
The other Planeswalker that we know about is Vraska the Unseen. Is 3 black and a green for a legendary Planeswalker Vraska. Starts off at 5 loyalty. +1 until your next turn. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to Vraska, destroy that creature. So she has Death Touch? Question mark?
Yeah, but I mean, if they're swinging you with some weenies, they're not gonna care that they die. They just care that the loyalty goes down.
True. -3, destroy target non-land permanent. Note that
non-land permanent. This is why she's good.
Non-land permanent. You're talking about just mortifying whatever you feel like.
That's not a land, but that's enchantment, artifact. Planeswalker.
Yeah, just straight up, she comes down instantly, hey, that thing over there, gone. And then the -7, which we're probably never going to get to, create 3 1/1 black assassin creature tokens with, when this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game.
I'd pay 5 mana for a destroy target permanent.
Because it's like destroy target permanent, and then next turn, if you can protect her, she'll go, because -3, she'll go down to 2. To protect her, +1, this way she protects herself a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, if she manages to take down, like, any creatures with her, with the Death Touch, I mean, that's some value, too, I'd say.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're not versing a token deck or something, you can just plus her, and then they have to swing in something either big to make sure they one-shot her, or like a bunch of little guys to make sure they kill her, and they'll all just basically die, too, so... That's decent.
Yeah.
The second, and that's the other thing too with Planeswalkers, take it from the last of the Planeswalkers pub. Whenever a Planeswalker shows up, ask them exactly what it does. Whenever they say, oh, it does this, it does that, and then I'm not going to use ultimate. Ask them what the ultimate is anyway.
Yeah.
Never just take their word if I'm never going to use the ultimate, because this is an ultimate I want to know about. Because this is something, as soon as she drops, I'm focusing her 1,000%, because even if you do pretend to get to the ultimate, no! They granted, the little 1/1s, A, they're 1/1s, so they can be blocked by literally anything. B, they don't have any evasion of their own. But even still, the threat of this touches me, I die.
Yeah. I think this Planeswalker in particular has a home in the first Fallen guy. Since he has to kill creatures in order to steal their keywords. So
one of the notable reprint is Secure Tribe Elder, or Steve.
Yep.
He is 1 green for a 1/1 Snake Shaman. It basically says sacrifice Secure Tribe Elder, search your library for a basic land card, put it to the battlefield, tapped, then shuffle your library. So cool thing about Steve, when you can go to blocks and then before damage, sacrifice him to go grab your land, which is kind of nice. It's also a thing that I really personally like. They gave him new art.
Yeah, they gave him new art, yeah.
I like his original art. It's cool, but this new art looks great. He looks actually more sophisticated.
And he's always in demand. Sakura Tribe Elder has pretty much been a dollar card forever, no matter how many times it's been reprinted. It's been reprinted a lot.
Yeah.
So, if you can get into more hands of more players, that is good to me.
Yeah, it's really, 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 really cool.
Friend Dynamo. That's
yeah, it's in the
excellent
pre-con.
reprint.
They put Friend Dynamo in the pre-con. Friend Dynamo, I don't even have to look at it. I just know it. Yeah. It's a 4-mana artifact.
Tap it,
taps
pay
for
for
3 generic. There you go. One thing I want to mention is Propaganda. Or not Propaganda. Ghostly Prison, the other one. So Ghostly Prison and Propaganda, they're both on the screen right now. They do the exact same thing. One's in blue, one's in white. The one that's being reprinted is in white. It basically states that it is a 2 and a white, and creatures your opponents control cannot attack you unless they play 2 generic mana for each creature that's attacking you. So it's a nice little pillow fort, kind of just defensive style card. I prefer Sphere of Safety just because it protects your Planeswalkers as well.
And unknown to most players, there are actually a green and a black version of Ghostly Prison and Propaganda. There's Elephant Grass for green, which is 1 and a green.
Yeah!
Black creatures cannot attack you at all. Every other creature has to pay 2, but Elephant Grass is a cumulative upkeep. Coruscant Falls is 2 and a black. Creatures cannot attack you unless they pay 2, but during your upkeep, you need to tap a creature or bury it.
Yeah. And then there is also Norn Annex, which is, I think, 2 in a white Phyrexian, and then creatures cannot attack you unless their opponent pays a white, so plains, or pays 2 life.
And if they can't generate white, they have to do the
2 life. And it's for each creature as well, so there's that as well. Norn Annex is really, really cool. The price is on screen right now, which is the reason why I don't currently own it, because it's expensive, but it's also really, really good. Plus, I want people to tap out and use their mana. I don't really care if they want to use their life, because if you're against like something that's a life gain deck, they've got life literally to spare. One thing I do want to mention is something I've never actually seen before. Eric has played it a little bit longer than me, so he can probably agree to this, but...
Sungrass Prairie. Oh, the bad filters.
Sungrass Prairie. Eric's calling this kind of a bad filter. I like it because Sungrass Prairie is a land that states pay a generic, tap it, and then you get a green or a white. It comes in untapped, which is fantastic. It's basically like a signet on a land, which is great. It's really, really cool. I want them to make all of these. Just all the versions, all the kind. Just do it.
Yeah, but most of the time, people prefer the Shadowmoor or Eventide filter lands, which are the ones that filter through.
Like they give you a double.
They tap for colorless on their own, and then you put in one of the two colors in, you get...
Like you put in the red one or whatever, you get red, blue, or blue.
Yep.
Which is nice. Those are very, very cool. But I like this too because, once again, it's basically a signet on the land, which means I can take out that signet, put it on the land, and I can still use it. Sometimes with signets, you'll be like, oh, I don't really know if I want to use it. Or more importantly, Vanilla Blast exists. Boom, that's all your signets. Very few times where you're actually blowing up lands. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying that Sunglass Prairie isn't playable. It's just that it's referred to bad filter for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't tap for anything on its own.
Now let's actually jump over to our news segment, which I like to call Shots!
Everybody?
Okay, so this segment, normally we do last call, but instead we're actually just going to be talking about a bunch of random cards, kind of a rapid fire of what we actually see that we're just really excited about that we didn't really have time to talk about right now. So we just refresh the page. This is what we're seeing as of Tuesday. They're reprinting Shrine of the Forgotten Gods. It's a land that taps for a colorless, and then also taps for two colorless, and then spends mana only to cast colorless spells, aka Eldrazi. Activate ability only if you control 7 or more lands.
Not just Eldrazi. Morph cards.
Oh, it's probably going to be the Morph deck.
Yes.
That makes sense. The downside is the fact that you can only activate the second ability if you control 7 or more lands, but we're playing Commander.
Yeah.
There's a good chance you're going to have it.
Oh, plus, and one of my favorite cards has been reprinted in the Sultai deck. Tempt with Discovery. I love the Tempt with cards. The green one is the best, in my opinion. 3 and a green, sorcery, tempting offer. Search your library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield. Each opponent may search their library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield. For each opponent who does, search your library for an additional land and put it onto the battlefield. Then each player search a library this way, shuffles it. So, you play as 4 mana. You get any land you want. You turn to the player on your left. Hey, do you want to do this? Next player, do they want to do this? For every person that says yes, you get to do that initial time, and they get to do it once. So if you play it, no one says yes at all. You just get 1 land of whatever you want. The more people who say yes, the more times you get to do it.
Now, here's the thing. It says land. It doesn't say basic
Any
land.
land.
So basically the combo, not only the combo, but the thing that most people do is this. They play the temp card, they ask, hey, do you want to do this? If one person says yes, they're running black, they're grabbing both Urborg and Cabal Coffers simultaneously, because this is how that works. And it puts it onto the battlefield, yes?
It does.
Yeah.
Untapped.
Puts it on the battlefield untapped. So congratulations, you just helped him out with. RJ has this card, and he uses it to go grab, the Thespian State Mirror Lodge combo. Side note, Thespian State is being reprinted as well in this set.
But sadly not Dark Depths.
No one cares!
I care. I
You
want
got
Dark
Thespian
Depths to
Sage.
be...
You got Thespian Sage, okay? That's all that really matters. One of my other cards that I actually see is Exotic Orchard is being reprinted, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Tap it, add 1 mana of any color that a land your opponents can produce. It's good.
So if they have Command Tower out, you can tap for anything.
Yeah.
Dockside Extortionist. Move over Treasure Nabber. 1 and a red for 1/2 Goblin. When he enters the battlefield, create X treasure tokens where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control.
Very good.
Very good.
That's really, really cool.
Yep.
Another card I feel like is a reprint. Might be. It's called Hex. It's a 4 black for sorcery. Destroys 6 target creatures. So here's the downside. You have to target all 6 of them.
So you could potentially destroy your own things.
Yes. That's important. You can't just say, okay, this. I've only got 5 targets. I'm not going to cast. There you go. It has to be 6 targets. Also, 2, your opponent can sack it in response, which technically means that you now no longer have 6 valid targets, so the spell fizzles. It's a go for broke style thing,
Yeah.
but if you're gonna destroy 6 target creatures, you might as well just run a board wipe. I mean, you're spending 6 mana or 6.
This is an easy cut.
That's a lot.
Leadership Vacuum. 2 and a blue, instant. Target player returns each commander they control from the battlefield to the command zone. Draw a card.
Ew, God help me.
I love this card.
That card is gonna be the bane of my existence.
Yes. It gets around Hexproof, gets around Indestructible. All those problematic commanders, like the Theros gods. Hate the Theros gods. So annoying. They're immovable. Get them out of here.
It's also, too, that it says target player, which means that you're targeting the player itself. So unless you have some way of getting yourself hexproof, you're getting hit with this.
Like
More
the
importantly,
white ley line.
not even that. It's an instant. This is an instant, which means someone can just, like, cast the Ur Dragon. Cool. I'll go ahead and just murder the Ur Dragon. All right, next turn. I've got enough mana. Recast the Ur Dragon. Cool. I'm going to use this for 2 mana. Put it back to your command zone. Once it's back in the command zone, you have to pay an additional 2 to recast it.
Yep.
This is going to be one of those cards that if it doesn't get banned quickly, people are going to have to complain about it enough times to just get
I don't think it's that powerful.
Dude, it's a 2 mana nope.
Yeah.
You're basically just saying
Counterspell's a 2 mana nope.
Yeah, but counterspell
No, this is a 3 mana nope.
Even still, like it's no. I'd rather no.
We need things like this to address problematic commanders. I think this is fine. I do like Sanctum of Eternity though. Tap and add colorless, or tap 2 and tap to return target commander you own from your battlefield to your hand. It's no homeward path since you can only use it during your turn, but that includes any time during your turn.
So let's say that Shieldred's on the field, something in that sense, you have to sacrifice your commander, be like, hey, before the Shieldred trigger, I'm going to bounce it back to my hand, it's right on the sack it, which is kind of nice. Plus, if your commander has a bunch of ETB's effects, that can definitely
or on
work.
cast, cool.
Let's say that you're attacking into something like that, and they do a combat trick where you're going to lose your commander, bounce it back. It's decent.
It's very decent.
A card that I actually am kind of excited about is Echoing Truth. It's 1 in the blue for an instance. Return target non-land permanent and all other permanents with the same name as that permanent to their owner's hand. Occasionally,
Morph creatures.
Well, yes, for starters, because morphs technically have no name, which means they're all basically the same principle. It's weird. But anyway, I was thinking more or less just
tokens.
Soul Ring.
Poses tokens.
I was thinking more like
Soul Ring? Return everyone's Soul Ring?
Returns everyone's Soul Ring.
Does that include yours?
It says non-land permanents, and then yes, for their owner's hand. So it does include yours, but it's also one of those things that you're returning everyone's, like, it's like, it's Commander. We all have...
Tap the Soul Ring, add 2 colors floating, then use one of those colorless to replay the Soul Ring. Tap it, now you have 3 colors floating.
There you go. Now you
moves.
Now you gotta think of portals. Plus, it's Commander. We have a lot of, duplicate cards that we all play because they're good cards. Soul Ring.
Despite it being a singleton format.
Yes. They also reprinted Soul Tie Charm. I'm assuming they're going to reprint the other charms in their response. Soul Tie Charm is basically just black, green, blue. For an instance, destroy target mono-colored creature, or destroy target artifact or enchantment, or draw 2 cards, then discard a card. So it's a cool little instant that you can hold up some mana, do some jankety stuff. Let's say you've got a counterspell in your hand, and this, you can just run this if nothing is meeting your fancy. Just draw 2 cards at instant speed. Very, very cool. Oh, wow, they're also tossing in...
I'd run it.
They're tossing in Tezzeret's Gamble? Or Gambit?
Yeah.
Tezzeret's Gambit is a 3 and a Phyrexian blue, so you can play either blue or 2 life. Draw 2 cards, then populate, and then proliferate, which is different than populate. Because proliferate states if there is a counter on something, you can put an additional 1 counter.
Yes.
You can also do this to anything on the field that you feel like. So you can hit a Planeswalker, you can hit a +1 counter, a -1/-1 counter. You cannot hit the command zone because that technically doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't know why that's in the Soul Tie Morph deck.
Oh, because Megamorph.
That very soft, light +1/+1 strategy. Yeah, don't run Tezzeret's Gambit in your Morph deck. Take it out.
Although we do mention, because you're gonna see this on Friday or on Saturday after everything's been spoiled. We do recommend, because we're gonna do it, buy the precons. Find other people that have the precons. Play all the precons by themselves, individually, in their own little vacuum, just to see which one's stronger, and how the deck wants to run in general. Then, after you play it like 4 or 5 times, scrap it for parts and build it correctly.
One of the new cards is Empowered Augmenter, Auto Generator. 4 mana, comes into the battlefield tapped. Tap it, put a charge counter on it. Add X mana of any 1 color, where X is the number of charge counters on Empowered Auto Generator. So it's a slow-going Gilded Lotus. Yeah, and then it becomes better.
This is something that's dangerous, because the counters stay on it, which means...
Proliferate's good for it, so...
Not even proliferate. This is also another one of those just kill-on-sight cards, like... Yeah, you're thinking in your head, oh, they're just getting 1 extra, who cares? But no.
That's 2.
Now it's 2.
3.
Then it's 3.
Then it's 4.
Then it's
5.
It's just basically the same principle like treasures. Where
this is
like,
broken with Seedborn Muse. Well, a lot of things are broken with Seedborn Muse, but...
Yeah, and I feel this is also going to be in the Super Muse deck.
Yes.
Yeah, it's ugh.
I know it's going to my Brutaclad deck with...
Kill on site.
Temporal with the clock.
Unwinding Clock?
Unwinding Clock.
This is definitely kill on sight, and the card that you can use to kill on sight is Putrefy, which is 1 black and a green for an instant. Destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. So as soon as you see this card, no. Yes. Putrefy. I'm also going to jump ahead real quick and mention...
regenerated.
Yep.
Are there any artifacts that have regeneration or give artifacts regeneration?
It might not be an artifact, but it could just be something else that just gives regeneration. Plus, remember the creature thing. So, like, you know, if you've got
that's probably what's primarily directed at.
I also want to mention a new card, which is Biomass.
That's not a new card.
Is it not?
It's
I have never
from
seen
one of the Ravnicas. It's obviously.
I've never seen it, but Biomass Mutation X and 2 Simic. So it's either paying X green, X blue, or X blue green, or whatever you have. Basically, it's for an instant that says creatures you control have base power and toughness XX until end of turn. So it's a cool combat trick.
Yeah.
You're just pumping mana.
It's Overwhelming Stampede, which was reprinted. It's one of those win more cards. I like it. Another card we want to talk about is Apex Autosaur. 7 green for 9.
I show this to Dino Boy.
For 10/10 dinosaur. When it enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. In Rage, whenever it's dealt damage, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. So, enters the battlefield, fight something. They deal damage to each other. In Rage trigger. Obviously, if Apex Autosaur dies, he's dead.
Yeah, but this
But if you give him indestructible...
Not even giving him indestructible. This is also coming out as a 10/10.
Yeah.
That's huge. So you can just have him enter the battlefield. Cool, I'm going to go ahead and fight your Amara. Alright, they fight. And then boom, you got dealt damage. I'm now going to fight your Feather. That dies. And that's what, 5 damage total that I got hit by?
It's still got 5 left.
It's still got 5 left. It's sticking around. I mentioned this to Dino Boy. He's putting it in his deck as soon as he gets it. If I open it, I'm putting it in his deck as soon as I get it because it's a dinosaur.
It's too good.
You get this off of Gashath?
It's hilarious.
You get this off of Gashath? Oh, God. Leave me alone. Just, Jesus Christ. My last card is going to be a Wall of Stolen Identity. It is 3 and a blue for a shape-shifting wall, which is hilarious. It's a 0/0. It says, you may have Wall of Stolen Identity enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's a wall in addition to its other type and has Defender, which means it can't attack. But here's the thing. When you do, tap the copied creature. It doesn't untap for as long as you control the Wall of Stolen Identity.
It imprisons the creature and becomes a copy of it.
Yeah, so basically, someone uses Emrakul. You now put this in 2.
You now have a 13/13 flyer, trampler, with protection from instants. That can attack, but that's
it's still a 13/13 blocker.
Yes, with flying.
That's huge.
And protection from instants.
That is huge. Plus,
that is very huge.
This is in Arcades' colors.
Yes.
So, with Arcades, I can swing with it.
Yes.
It's a copy card that draws me a card, and it's just cool. I don't know. I dig it. I really like it.
I think the best part about this is the imprison effect.
Yeah. The fact that it stops the creature, it taps it, this way it doesn't untap. Even if you're grabbing something that's like I said, Amara, she's the easiest person for me to use because she's got the tap trigger. I literally can't do anything about it. Now, here's the thing. If they find a way to untap it, or bring it back Seaborn Muse.
I'd clone Seaborn Muse with this.
Well, yeah, but then Seaborn Muse just untap.
Yeah,
itself.
but you have a Seedborn Muse, so...
Yeah, that's really good. Plus, you're in blue, so you would actually be able to use that better than person in green. Needless to say, we're really excited about the Commander 2019 stuff that's actually coming out. You guys have already been spoiled with a bunch of other stuff, but we're going to mention stuff anyway just because that's just how we are. Yeah. That's just how we work. Which brings me to my last thing, which is going to be the clamp step, where I say thank you so much for actually listening and watching this episode. I know we're technically late to the party, but hey, that's just how we roll. More importantly, we're going to be mentioning a bunch of stuff. We're going to get these decks...
Fashionably late,
but hey, we brought the beer. So there's that. More importantly, we're going to have a bunch of episodes set up and everything in that sense to just talk about all these decks in depth.
Yep.
And just... each Division 1 tearing apart, what the upgrades are going to be, what the downgrades are going to be, just to kind of see what these decks can do, because we're really excited, because new cards are always great.
This was just us gushing about the spoilers we had access to at the time.
Yeah, but I promise you we're going to get a lot more stuff in. Thank you for actually traveling with us. If you're actually viewing this and you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It takes like 2 seconds.
And the notice bell. Gotta be noticed when we upload the next video.
This is a really, really cool community that we've started here, and it's just going to get better and better. Plus, every single subscriber gets a free beer token. That's just how that works.
Yep.
So, you know. Or, if you don't want beer, then, you know, shots. Because shots.
Shots. Everybody. See ya.
Laters.